Hello, hello, welcome to Self Care Saturday. I'm Kendrick.
I'm Carla.
We don't own the rights to this music, but you hear the song, Take Those Shackles Off Your Feet So We Can Dance. We are thankful to be with you again. Happy, happy, happy Saturday. Remember, God is a healer. And I need for you to put that in your notes. I need for you to put that in your spirit. So we're just going to give you a few minutes to come on in. You want to take us into a jam session?
You ready to dance? Is that what it is? Song says take the shackles off your feet. Some people think that, we'll be talking about marriage this month. And some people think that they are bound in marriage. Well, we're connected, yes, but we don't see them as a bad connection.
Hi, Clarice. Welcome. Pleasure to see you. Again, with this Self Care Saturday. Why don't you like, tag, share this video? Let somebody know that we're on. We're here to share some tenets about relationships, whether you are married, separated, single, divorced, remarried, not married, whatever the case may be. Yes. We're here to have some discussion and think about some questions that I believe every relationship will encounter or run into. So like, tag, and share this live with us. So as Carla mentioned, we know that we're leading into the month of Thanksgiving. So we want to continue to encourage every family, every person that is on, spend time with your families. Yes. We just don't know what time that we have left. And more so than not, if it is on your heart to visit someone, if it is on your heart to spend time with a loved one or see a relative, I encourage you to do so. Don't put off to today what you would try to do tomorrow. Do it today. Hello, welcome Shamira, welcome Iris. A pleasure to have you on. As I said, we're dealing with relationships. We've been talking about different things that happens in marriage and relationships. And there are so many exhaustive ways that we can look at relationships. And so we want to make sure we consider, when you think about being married or being in a relationship with somebody, we always talk about commitment. And so commitment is very important. We like to thank our bishop who is on, Bishop Eric Ellis, and First Lady Beverly Ellis. Shout out to you in Raleigh, North Carolina. We praise and thank God for you. Yes. And again, as I said, as we express relationships, I'm going to pose a question. We'll start out with a couple of questions that we want you to consider with us. And so Carla led us in some questioning last week, so we're excited about the conversation. Remember, one of the things that we talked about was dealing with faith. We dealt with finances. We dealt with friends. We also dealt with family. And these are like really short things that we're dealing with, because these are the things that you're going to encounter in a relationship. We also talk about foes or enemies. Oh, yeah. But more importantly, we also dealt with faith. And you need faith if you're going to operate in any relationship. You need faith to have commitment. You need faith to believe in the person that you're with. And so one of the things I was thinking about when we consider marriage or relationships in general, here's a question to consider. How can you cultivate moments to spend time together with that person you call your significant other or your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, spouse? How do we cultivate time?
Oh boy, and that's like one of the things that we seemingly have so little bit of, which is time, between work, between family, between your ministry commitments for us, your outside interests for some of you. There's just very little time. But one thing that, remember what we did, we came up with a date night. And we just decided that we wanted to find more than just that passing, hey, how are you? How was your daytime? That we would just not celebrate on, focus too much on anything around us. And so we found a day of the week and made that we would come together and just spend some time together, talking, laughing, exploring his interests, exploring my interests, whatever it is that we decided to do. And so the hardest part about that was just, like he said, doing it. You just have to do it. And so we made a commitment that at least Friday night would be our night. And not because it was that traditional date night, but it was just that it was the night that our schedules permitted. So we just, that was one of the things. And then when Kendrick's not here, I commit to doing other things out in the house or around him that makes him happy. So maybe, making sure that at least there's some, well, I know we're supposed to have dinner every night, but his favorite dinner, like a special meal just for him is done at least once a week. Not your traditional, let me get something done, putting on the table, but I know what he really likes, and trying to do that at least once a night, once a week. So just cultivating that.
All right, and when you think about cultivating, I thank you for sharing that, because also when you cultivate a relationship, you still have to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things you remember what we discussed. Being intentional in your relationship means that when you commit to a time or a time to spend with each other, you want to be intentional about that time, because I often find, I know for myself, there are so many things pulling on that time or that commitment and pulling against it. So which means I find myself between two at times. And there are times I'll call my wife and go, well, hey, babe. And she'll say, you know what tonight is? So it's date night. So you want to stay intentional to your commitments, because oftentimes what happens, if you allow things to detract you from those commitments, they can really bring about a wedge in your relationship. And you want to be sure that you keep that wedge or that barrier away. And so if you had to come up with an idea for fun or an exciting outing, what would it be? Or what would you encourage a couple to do when you're talking about spending time together? Because so many people can define spending time with so many different things. And I guess I really want to ask too, when we're out dating or whatever, what do you do when that spouse or that person, you're out dating and this is all they're doing the entire time? Okay. They're on that cell phone. How do you deal with that? Or how do you find an exciting way to pull their time away from that cell phone?
Well, one of the
I need help there.
Well, you know what we do? We ask each other, like, if we're doing date night home, because COVID taught us that we had to come up with creative ideas to spend together at home. One of the things we do is we put our phones away. Maybe not all the way, all day long, but at certain times of the night, just turn them off or turn them down and only respond to those calls that are from, that we know could be something urgent that's going on. But just detach from the phone for a little while. Even in the car, because you're not supposed to text and drive and do all those things. But even while we're in the car, just turn the phones down and just put it in your purse, put it in the dashboard, or put it away. That's one of the things that we could do. Okay. I always wonder, what do we do with those phones, without phones before? Because they seem to be glued to us. But just simply put your phone away. I'm one of those people, I never know where my phone is. I'm not attached to my phone, and I miss a lot of calls because I'm just not attached to it. But Kendrick phone is a third hand. So his phone is always available, always around. So when he's committed to putting his phone away. Me, on the other hand, I've just committed to putting that remote control, because I am a TV watcher, and put that away and turn that off.
And so it's interesting you mentioned that, because last week we talked about, is it okay for a spouse or person in a relationship to go through your phone or in your phone? And as you hear, my wife has said, definitely. I have 3 phones, and all of them are ringing. I'm texting, trying to catch up, keep up. And there are times she will say to me, well, hey, we are on a date. And so those things, I find that when you can't detach or pull away, they can bring about arguments. In every relationship, let me tell you, no matter how good it's going, you might have that space of disagreement. And so how do we deal with that? And how do we diffuse allowing just a simple misunderstanding about we're spending time together, which is, now watch this, which is a good thing. You're spending time together. It's a good thing. But then all of a sudden, something creeps in and it becomes a grand argument all about a cell phone and time. Something you should have been doing uniquely together has become an argument. How do we balance that?
Well, that's true. It is a balance, because there are times that you're going to have to answer your phone, even on the date night, even on the times that you have decided that this is our time together and you don't want to answer the phone. And so to me, I'm just allowing the phone to go ahead and be answered, because I already know that we had already discussed no phone. So it must, for you to be on your phone or you to be distracted by whatever it is that you need to be doing.
Commitment.
If you're doing it, that means this was something that really couldn't wait. And so you do have to be flexible in that, and not rigid, not arguing about it, because the person does love you. You love each other, We care about each other. We respect one another. We're committed to one another. And sometimes you just can't help it. Your children call, your family call. You're not going to be like, oh, you're talking to your mother again. Yes, you're talking to your mother again. Talk to your mom, talk to your sister, talk to your family, talk to your cousins, and whoever else you need to talk to, or those friends. And now in ministry, of course, talking to, ministry needs you as well. So you just have to be flexible in all of that.
So you hear some of these things that we're hashing out: being flexible, being alert, staying committed to your commitment, are very key things when you think about a relationship. Mm-hmm. Now, look, I know we're coming up on the holidays, and let me just share with you, the devil will try to get in the way of your relationship going into now and next Thursday. And why do I say that? Because you may find, some of us are going to be excited about packing, getting ready to entertain, be with family. And I want to say there's nothing worse than going into the holidays mad with your spouse or your loved one. You know how it is. Company come over, you've had that blown out argument. And now you find yourself, trying to celebrate the holiday with that wedge in between you. And so you don't want to find yourself celebrating the holiday with a wedge between you and your spouse or your loved one or the person you consider that's supposed to be that source of strength for you in some sense. And so do you think you have a good understanding of your spouse? And I'm posing this question to you as well, Virtual Land. Do you have a good understanding of your significant other's strength when it comes to things like that, honoring the commitment and spending time with each other? And so, praise the Lord, Brother Ellis. Let us see as well. So we got to remember that when you honor the strengths of each other, you got to make sure you take into consideration what you and the person agreed to. Mm-hmm. And so that means, as I said, whether you're traveling, whether you are planning to stay home and spend time with each other, whether one spouse is cooking or another, do not let any barriers get in the way before Thursday, because time is so short, and you'll find yourself sometimes arguing, disagreeing, and being upset with each other, like I said, at a time when you're supposed to be harmonizing, you're supposed to be together, you're supposed to have such a strong balance of love in the atmosphere. And who wants to walk around mad and burning the food up and and all of those things? So is there anything you can help your spouse achieve when you think about relationships? What can you, again, I'm always saying to encourage, as well as we're talking about our personal self, what can you encourage others to help their spouse achieve when you're talking about strengthening their relationship, whether it be commitment, bonding, or just simply spending time with each other?
Listen to each other. You got to listen to one another. You made the point about packing and getting ready. So you already know when it's time to travel, that could bring about a lot of anxiety because you're trying to remember your work. What you have to remember work. Yes. You have to remember home, making sure you leave the home prepared, making sure you leave everything that you need to complete at work done, making sure that ministry is taken care of, making sure that every little bit is taken care of. And you already know what brings about anxiety for one another. And so consider that, if that person needs quiet to do what they do, give the quiet.
That if they need, get out of their ear.
If they need your help, and they don't want your help, because there's things that they need help and they don't want the help. Right. Just gently lay things out. As the wife, just gently and just lay it out. Just make it available. You don't have to talk. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. Just quietly support them. If they need conversation or music, put some music on. You know what makes them, what soothes them, what keeps them calm, one another calm. Do that. Don't go, oh, you don't forget this because the last time we went, you forgot this, and all of those little conversations that can spark an argument.
I have another question to pose, and I really want you to help me, the audience, with this as well. What is the difference between an assumption and an expectation? And so in marriage, there are so many assumptions. Mm-hmm. For example, I assume that come Thursday, we'll decide by then what we're doing, where we're going, where we're eating. You might assume we're doing one thing. I might expect another. How can that cross over into something so beautiful And yet, it's a shared responsibility, you know. And I truly believe we got to continue to grow in the shared responsibility when you think about assuming something versus expecting something. Any commentary on that?
Well, the assumption is that you've already...
You read it too much.
I was thinking about it because when you sparked the thought, the assumption is before Thursday, which is Thanksgiving, you already know where you're going.
Uh-oh.
Okay? And so it can't be, oh, you know, I'm here and you're going to, whether you're going around the corner, down the street, or far away. The expectation is that where you're going knows you're coming. And so the assumption is you're getting ready for that along the way. When it's last minute and for you and last minute for them, that causes anxiety, that causes like stress.
What if some people like that that adventure? They may need that adventure. So what if some people like that?
There's always time for adventure.
Yeah.
But not every time. Adventure is fine. Adventure is okay. But there are some things that you can't be adventurous with. And when the adventure is for you, me going to take a trip in a raft, that's an adventure for me. It involves me and maybe you. But me going to show up at your door, surprise, might not be an adventure for the other person, but you have to know that person. Because what if they didn't prepare for your coming? What if they wasn't prepared for your visit that time? They're always happy to see you,
right? But
what if they weren't prepared for it?
And
so everything can't be an adventure.
So we're talking about assumptions versus expectations in relationship, especially around holidays, because so many people may have to make the decision on where they're going to spend holidays. And we actually have that common conversation throughout the year, whether it be Memorial Weekend, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, or Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And so we always want to try to balance that out. And like I said, make sure that we are sharing the responsibility of being with family in various angles. She has won the vote for the past couple of years in regards to Thanksgiving. Me, I generally choose Christmas, what we're doing, where we're going. And so you got to make sure that you communicate with that spouse. Never assume they know what you're thinking.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, those things can really cause an imbalance and they can shift your entire season when you think about having family time. So someone put assumptions are uncommunicated expectations. Absolutely. Like assumptions are uncommunicated expectations.
Interesting.
So which means you find oftentimes in relationships, we generally assume. We can assume our loved one or spouse knows exactly what we're thinking. They know what we're going to do. For example, I may start packing Thursday morning. My wife is packed. Look how she's looking like, what? My wife is packing tomorrow. And so she's one of those people that lays everything out. She needs to know where the towel goes. She needs to know how many pair of pants she has. And we have such a fun time laughing, arguing, and yet looking at each other like, why are you taking 3 suitcases for a 3-day trip? And I'm the person who I'm loading up because I don't even know if we're coming back or not. And I just said it in a sense because my grandmother used to tell me, you never know. So always pack for every occasion. And literally, I take that literal. Now, in your sense, you're packing just enough. So what happened, as I said, you see how easily a couple can deal with not communicating and yet assuming we know and understand each other's movement when it comes to spending time around family and dealing with holidays. And so I see Darren says communication is key. So anything you want to add to that?
It is key. And on the packing thing, I'm laughing because the way I look at it is if we do get stuck and we have to go and stay later.
See, now you got to shop.
It's a good reason to go shopping. There's always a strategy.
Okay, so that's a win-win for you all, ladies. You can go shopping.
There's a shopping or a laundromat. You know, if you need to wash clothes, if your relatives or where you're going doesn't have laundry, you go to a laundromat and you just wash the clothes again. You know, I think I'm beyond that. Oh, I wore that Monday and now I'm trapped here again on a Monday. I can't wear that because it's the same trip. I'm beyond that. I'm like, all right, where's the laundromat? We got to go wash some clothes out. or where's if we need something for a little bit more formal and I didn't bring enough, if it can't be mixed and matched, then we need to go shopping.
Yeah. So you got to communicate.
Yeah,
you have
what was
to
that?
communicate. So everyone isn't organized like us, Lady Carla. Oh, Minister Wright.
Minister Wright. Oh my God, you're another one with all those suitcases. I'm like, where y'all going with all those suitcases? My goodness, I learned that a long time ago. Stop that.
Now, I want to move that segment of conversation into another thought process, and that is, what if we were overpacked in our minds, our spirit, with love for each other? What would that be like?
That's different.
Have you ever overpacked for your loved one? Have you ever overpacked to give them things that you did not give them, or you should give them? And I do believe there is an excessive benefit when we talk about doing something that can really communicate the love that we have for each other. So make sure that you sometimes overpack. Don't underpack on everything. So underpacking can actually be a bad thing, because what also happens when you get to a certain time or state and these stores are not open. And then that's when I'm looking like, you see, I told you should have packed something else.
And watch.
So always remember, communication is key. And that's simply what we're saying.
Like when I was doing an internship, and the lady from my intern supervisor, she worked for the president. She had to travel and do things for the president of the United States at that time. And she said they actually taught her how to pack. And it has worked so far. They told her how to mix and match, how much you would need. And I took that advice very carefully. I used to have 2 and 3 and 4 bags, but not anymore. In terms of the overpacking and underpacking, when it comes to giving towards your relationship, you don't want to underpack for that. You don't want to do just enough. You want to give a lot more. You know what your spouse loves. You know the time, the attention that they need. And you want to be available. You want your suitcases to be nice and open and ready for that. But sometimes, you know what? There goes those assumptions versus expectations.
Right.
Because sometimes all of this giving that you're giving, the assumption is that the person, A, wanted all of that, and B, the expectation is you're going to get that back. What happens when you overpack, overextend, and the person doesn't reciprocate? What happens? What happens? Did you have an expectation that they would?
Expectation versus assumption.
Did you think that?
I see Caranisha says that she overpacked. So that means you live in the club with me, Caranisha. You overpack. And look, overpacking doesn't mean we're wrong. Let's help all.
No, it doesn't.
Caranisha, let's help everyone out here. Overpacking actually means we're prepared.
Yes, you are.
That's what that means.
I believe that.
We're prepared, Davrin and Carla. Tammy, communication is key, but we overpackers are prepared.
But did I ever say that it wasn't anything? I just looked and like, why are you bringing all that stuff? Like, okay, if you think you need it, fine. You need this, that, and the other. Go for it. And when we come back, I'm like, I told you didn't need a blah, 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 blah.
And I will admit, in many cases, I don't even touch 90% of what's in the bag. But look, there's a comfort knowing that I have the items there just in case. So just think about it this way. Accessibility is paramount. So you want to have that accessibility, because I don't feel like running all across the world. And you see how I make sure I expand that out. Running all across the world to find an outfit to fit an occasion. Or
all right, I'm convinced. I'm going to put a ball gown in there next time. All right, you got me. The little black dress and a ball gown.
All right. So as we continue to chime into this conversation, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about family gatherings. We're talking about staying in the process of communication. We're talking about assumptions versus expectations. And so here's a real question that we need to deal with. What do you do when you pull up to that person's house that your spouse or your loved one, they don't respect them and you don't get along with them, or one or the other don't get along with them? Do you go there? Do you do you pull out of the driveway? Do you give the person that look? Because now one of the things I'm learning in marriage and in relationship, especially with Carla, I did not know in this larger sense or context that spouses can talk without opening their mouths. In your relationship, you do know you can talk without opening your mouth. Your eyes can communicate to that spouse or loved one, what are we doing here? Your body language can communicate, we're not going in there. Your hand gestures can, I laugh sometimes because when my wife get aggravated, this is what she start doing. She start rubbing her hair and everything and looking, she act like she's looking in the mirror, but in actuality, she's saying, we're not going there. So what do? How do you handle those stresses? And how do we help encourage others to handle those type of stresses? Because if I can't communicate to you that we're in a place that you can't communicate to me, we're both in a place where we might not be comfortable with or you didn't expect. Because again, now I have some fatal flaws where I want to see everybody in America when I'm traveling. I want to make every stop. I want to visit every house, home, sometimes hospital. If I haven't seen someone in a long time, or if I pass by and see someone, because here's my thinking assumption, I might not see them again. But in Carla's mind, it could be, we need to get back to what we said we were doing. We have a scheduled time, we have a planned trip, and we need to follow that schedule. What happens? See, these type of things, as I say, can create barriers. And again, here we are in the blows of assuming and versus expecting. And so, what do you say to that?
So to me, I heard two things.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing, to answer it in a nutshell, it's the same scenario: communication. You already know you're going. You've already agreed to go. So if you know that you're going, that's fine. To go to somebody's house who doesn't want you there, that hasn't been my story, thank God.
Praise God.
Because it would be really difficult if I went, and most of the time is, my travels with you is to the South. And it would be really, really difficult to continue to travel with you if I felt like I was not welcome. So thank God my family in the South have been so open arms. They've been so welcoming from the beginning. They've just accepted me for who I am as your wife. And then as the years have grown, they've gotten to know me even closer. So that's not my story. But if it was my story, I would still go because you want me to go. But I know how to handle, being in an atmosphere where I'm not wanted, because that acceptance comes worldwide. So it could be the same thing in your job, or you go to your friend's gathering where the other friends don't want you there because this is my friend. So you just learn how to be polite, to be considerate, give the love that you want to receive.
That's good.
So
That's good.
You don't have to worry when I'm there in an environment where I don't feel, and then I got to check my feelings too. Because it could just be my own mess feeling that way.
Good.
But if I'm feeling like I don't want to, I want to check my feelings and then reevaluate and just say, okay, fine. Now, if you're getting a cold shoulder and you don't want, and nobody want to be, unfortunately, if it's friends and family, oh well, too bad, so sad, because your husband wants you with them, your wife wants you with them, so you're going to go, they're going to be there.
That's when you take that extra bag and come out with your best outfit. That's what you do.
You
bust out the room in your best outfit. That's what you do. That's how you settle that, okay?
Like I said, that's not my story, so I'm so glad that that's not my story, because it definitely would be it would be difficult to be in a place where you are and the person doesn't want you there. Now, there was a second question. I got the worst memory. What was the other thing you said?
I don't remember.
Oh, my goodness.
But let me compliment this. When you're talking about being in a space that you may not be welcome, as I said, when you get around your family and for holiday gatherings, always protect your investment. Protect your investment in the sense, as Carla is saying, do all you can to make sure you're checking your feelings, and make sure you come in with a friendly face as well. Because I know many people, they'll come in with this ugly face, bad energy, low energy, and you come in and you bring that spirit with you. And so sometimes now what is being given to you is what you have given off. And so you want to make sure you bring the right spirit when you go with your spouse or loved one. Again, never assume that the environment don't like you.
Now, one of the things that I was thinking about too, you live here,
Mm-hmm.
and we live here, but your family, you have family here too, but your mom and your your grandma and your sisters and brothers that are down in the South, as a spouse that's traveling, you got to give them the space to be with their family too, because they miss each other, and you've got to be accepting of the fact that they love one another just like I love you, but I've got to be able to go and play with the kids, or watch a game, or play on my phone, and allow you that freedom to run, to celebrate, because my sisters are here. My mom is here, and when we go to my mom and sister's house, I have that same freedom, and so it would be selfish not to give you the same freedom. So those families and in those relationships where one part of the family is here and another part is out of town or out of state, you got to allow them to be together and know how to be together apart.
Awesome.
Together.
And that's just like I was sharing with Tammy. I think I saw a comment in there that when we were at the homegoing of my uncle last week, a week before last, one of them, that her and Andrea were taking pictures with you. And they left me out of the picture. And I'm telling you, I was heated.
Why?
I was heated, Tammy. And but we got a good laugh about it. So again, make sure that your common circles are being celebrated. When you were in a relationship or seeing or meeting family, friends, etc., make sure, like I said, the entire circle is being celebrated. You will be surprised to know at how many people may feel left out. And especially, like I said, those are things, as I said, that can cause rift between a husband and wife, a boyfriend and girlfriend, because you can assume that, it might have been done on purpose. And you might be expecting one thing and assuming another, and it could tear your relationship up. And, but me, Tammy, Andrea, my wife, we have a wonderful relationship. And so again, still looking for that photo. So keep that in mind. Last but not least, as we continue to wind down on this conversation, communication is the heart and soul of any vibrant relationship. And so successful relationships, whether husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, it says they prioritize communication and approach it with a process of openness. As we close, why is it important to stay open when you're talking about communicating, traveling, assuming, expecting? Why must we stay open?
Because no one knows how you really feel unless you communicate it. And when you keep things inside and you internalize things, you don't have an opportunity you're not sharing. So you're not giving your spouse, your partner, the opportunity to really, really know what's going on with you. And so the assumptions are that you're angry when you're not. The expectation is that I'm on board, you're on board with what's happening, and you're not. So you have to be open. Well, or not. But you have to be open. You have to be available. It's so important, because if not, the assumptions and the misconceptions can occur.
They really can. And I thought about so many different scenarios just now when you're talking about staying open in a relationship, communicating. Look, there are so many things that you can communicate and keep that unique balance in your relationship. When you don't communicate, you're going to have a roller coaster ride.
Yes.
And so remember, as you celebrate the holidays with your loved ones, spouses, as I said, however you deem them, keep in mind that you want to communicate openly to them, respectfully, and make sure that they understand your common boundaries, what you will allow, what you won't allow. But keep God in the midst of everything that you're doing. It's a season to love. It's a season to be thankful. It's a time to, again, celebrate your loved ones and your family. And it's definitely a time to communicate and never to assume. And so I'm Kendrick.
I'm Carla.
We thank you for tuning in with us tonight. This is another episode of Self-Care Saturday. Prayerfully, we might do something special for Thanksgiving for you. Give us a couple of days to think about it. But we want to celebrate and honor each and every one of you and tell you thank you so much for tuning in with us. We want to keep you encouraged, as we said we would, from start to finish during this year. So thank God for you. No matter where you are, remember, you are never alone. And we appreciate each and every one of you for logging on each Saturday, for taking out time in your busy schedule and just tuning in with us. And do know we're just as encouraged as you are. And remember, Philippians 1:6 says, he who began a good work in you, not only will he perform it, but he will bring it to pass until the day of Jesus Christ. Trust and believe that God will do the impossible for you. love your families, and remember to communicate in this season. God bless.
God bless.